Patricia, Pine Lakes, and Ocean Forest were probably the top spots in Myrtle Beach at that time, in the early days. I remember when I was a kid, I worked under my father at a place called Patricia Inn. He started there in the 30s. It was traditional for us to start working around 13, 14 years old. So at 14, I'm working there. And you run into all kinds of people. And even before then, when I was a child, I'd come down and visit him. And I remember seeing most of the political heads, governors, senators. There's a story that I've heard most of my life, but I really don't remember because I was too young. They say when I was about 5 years old, this man who, Strom Thurmond, came out, and Strom came over and said, "Yeah, I shoot marbles, huh?" I said, I said, "Yes, sir." "You want to shoot?" I said, "Yeah." So we built a ring, and we're shooting marbles. And he knocked my marbles out, but I told him, I said, "No, sir." He said, "I beat you." I said, "No, you didn't beat me. You fudged." He said, "What do you mean?" He said, and Joe kind of tensed up, because Strom Thurmond, if he wasn't a senator at that time, at one point he was a governor. I don't know what his position was because I'm 5 years old. But he broke the plane with his hand shooting the marbles. And I said, "No, sir, I didn't say you cheat. I said you fudged. You broke the, you stuck your hand in the circle." And they say he started laughing and this type of stuff. So I'm saying that to say this: you meet everybody at Old Patricia Inn. Ocean Forest was fabulous. It was built in, I think, in the early 20s, in the 20s, by the Woodside brothers. And unfortunately, the only thing to commemorate the Woodside brothers' existence is a street named Woodside over in the Pine Lakes area. But the Ocean Forest was huge. I worked there when I was probably 16, 17 years old. They had these, not one, but several giant ballrooms with crystal all over the place. It had a saltwater indoor pool. It had its own pavilion. It had so much. It was a beautiful thing. It's a shame that the powers that be did not realize the treasure that they had and allowed it to be torn down. But the Ocean Forest was staffed by the African American community. The African American community staffed all the major towns.
But I remember, I did one night's work there. I knew the guys, the caretakers, many of the waiters used to live right in this area on the hill. Mark Simmons, Mr. Clarence McRae, who's now deceased. We've also had some of the waiters from Florida used to work in seasonal work. They work at the hotel during the summer and leave in September, late September. Business declined. And another thing, the Ocean Forest Hotel didn't have a central heating and air unit. Those units were more or less window units. And this was a time when they constructed that building, they would depend primarily on the ocean, air from the ocean. I mean, like the old Chesterfield Inn, they didn't have air. We would open up the window. And I can't verify this, but the building was getting old. They've had some maintenance problems with it because of that level. After Hurricane Hazel, they suffered some damage, and I don't believe they ever retrieved those damages. Main reason why the building was getting antiquated, but it was not up to the times, with the conveniences and furniture and everything. So they had probably a pretty good reason. I regretted it personally because I thought it was a historical building, and the chances are maybe it could have been upgraded, but it would have been an enormous expense.
Tom Luce, I think Tom Luce was the owner of the New York Times, one of the large magazines in New York at that time. He brought his people down here for vacation, and during it was a working vacation, and they came up with the concept of Sports Illustrated. But we didn't come because it was the nicest place in the world. I mean, Tom Lewis was one of the richest men in America. He could take us anywhere he wanted to go. And we didn't come because the rooms were all this and that. We came because of the service. The service is some of the best service that we have ever seen. So in other words, they came because it's African American.
So, but you did have people coming in from North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi. You'd see those nameplates, and you know the visitors when they come. And I had the privilege of meeting many of them at the hotel I worked to for an extended period of time. Many of them would come year after year, bringing their families, staying 1 or 2 weeks